Before you do any document, the best question to ask is what's the purpose of the document I'm about to prepare? And the one I'm going to talk about today is the humble vendor report. Vendor reports are a really important part around what it is that we do as an individual agent. And one of the great challenges is we're seeing lots of people wanting to move to like these digital dashboards about what's happening during the course of the campaign. And they're incredibly great because you can get to see new listings, properties that are being sold, what's actually happening to that particular property on all the different portals, what's happening with all the buyer interest and all of the inquiry. But one of the great challenges is never ever forget what's the purpose of the document or the link that I'm about to go to send. Now, why this is a really critical conversation is that I want you to go to another agent in your office and I want you to get them to give you a copy of their most recent vendor report on an existing campaign. Now, without any knowledge of that campaign, I want you to read the vendor report. And now I want you to tell me, what does that agent actually want you to know? What do they want you to feel? And then what do they want you to do? And this is the greatest problem that we've got with all the vendor reports that we've got going out there in the marketplace today, is we're not really clear on what we actually want the seller to do. So how do we actually go to present and deliver this information? And I'm all for the transparency and a 24/7 ability to be able to see what's going on inside of a campaign, but I need you to be able to go to make the really specific recommendations. What we've been doing to be able to progress more sellers during the course of a sales campaign is having really good quality vendor meetings each week. Now, these meetings go for about 15 minutes or so, and it actually has a very specific agenda. The first thing that we got to talk about is all the new properties that have actually come to market. Now, if there's 20 new houses available in the price range, that means that the buyers have got a lot more choice. It probably means that ultimately the sale prices are going to be a little softer. If there's only one extra property in the price range, then maybe that means that there's not as much supply. If there's a little bit of extra demand, then that might mean that we can actually start to get some price growth. The second conversation after the new listings to market is what has actually been sold in the course of the last 7 days. It's your duty as an agent to go to make sure that your owners are aware of all the sales that have actually happened. And in particular, that the buyer that walked through your particular home actually went and bought Smith Street because they believed that it was better value. Now, this is a really important part of what we do, because when you feel that sense of loss, the tension that all of a sudden you've lost a particular buyer to an alternate campaign, then you sit up straight really wanting to take your agent's advice. The third thing, which is a critical skill, is to talk about all the properties that have actually had a price change over the course of the last 7 days. That price change data or information is a really important conversation, because you want to be able to show, hey, if there have been 5 properties that have all had a price reduction, and the average price reduction has been $50,000, then it makes it really clear for the seller what they should be doing in order to be able to go and get their particular property sold. They obviously need to reduce their price. So to recap, think about that, all the new listings that have come to market, all the properties that have been sold, and all the price reductions that have happened in the course of the last 7 days. Then what we're going to go and do is we're going to look at some very specific numbers. And these are what we actually go to call the indicators of interest. So think about inquiries, inspections, second inspections, terms, and also in addition to that, the offers that have been made. Now, rather than just having a static number, what I want you to do now is to integrate your benchmark. So what we've actually seen is 7 inquiries when we should have had 20. We've had 8 inspections when we should have had 20. We've had 0 people getting copies of pest and building reports when we should have had 3. We've had 0 people coming back to request copies of the contract or changes to terms when we should have had 2. And we've had 0 offers when we should have had 1. So Mr. and Mrs. Owner, where are we at and what do we need to do next? The evolution of that report into a really good quality meeting, we're now having a look at the actual number versus the benchmark, allows you to know how you're actually going. Because when someone says to me, hey, you've had 8 buyers through your property, I don't know if that's good, bad, or indifferent. And this is why it's really important to actually get the key numbers that really matter. And the way that I think about this is that if you're driving your car along the road and you see the police behind you, what do you do next? Well, do you know what you actually do next? You're actually in a position that really you should actually have a quick look at your speedo, adjust maybe the cruise control down a little bit, take the foot off the accelerator, lightly apply the brake or maybe the park brake, and get yourself in a position that you go to manage that speed. And that's why cars ultimately have one number directly in front of you, and then a little alarm goes off when ultimately you see that you need to go to get some petrol or to recharge the battery. You got to be careful that you don't give people too much data so they actually drown. So now what I want you to do, go and have a look at every single one of your vendor reports, and I want you to think, what do I actually want my vendor to know, feel, and do? What information am I providing so then they can go to make the appropriate changes to their campaigns to actually get them to sold? And that's the purpose of what a vendor report does, is it increases the quality of the conversation and then naturally the quality and the speed of the conversion.